The climate crisis has reached a, quote, really bleak moment. That's according to one of the world's leading climate scientists. After a slew of major reports, I think reports always come in slews, laid bare how close the planet is to catastrophe. This from The Guardian. Collective action is needed by the world's nations more now than at any point since the Second World War to avoid climate tipping points. That's according to Professor Johan Rockström. But he noted, as if we needed somebody to point this out, geopolitical tensions right now are at a high. At least something's getting high. Rockström says the world is coming, quote, very, very close to irreversible changes. Time is really running out very, very fast. Unquote. Emissions must fall by about half by 2030 to meet the internationally agreed target of 1.5 degrees Celsius of heating. But emissions are still rising, the report showed. This at a time when, in case you didn't notice, the world's major oil companies are making astronomical amounts of money. That adjective is from The Guardian. And it's probably accurate. On Thursday, Shell and Total, the French energy company, both doubled their quarterly profits to about $10 billion. This rise in profits has happened since post-COVID demand has jumped and after Russia invaded Ukraine. The oil sector is expected to gather in $4 trillion this year, strengthening calls for heavy windfall taxes to address the cost of living crisis and fund the clean energy transition. All three key UN agencies involved in the climate thing have produced damning reports the last couple of days this week. The UN Environment Agency's report found there was, quote, no credible pathway to 1.5 degrees Celsius in place, and that woefully inadequate progress on cutting carbon emissions means the only way to limit the worst impacts of the climate crisis is a, quote, rapid transformation of societies, unquote. That doesn't sound like more freedom, does it? Current pledges for action by 2030, even if delivered in full, would bring a rise in global temperature of about 2.5 degrees Celsius. At that level, the world would experience catastrophic climate breakdown, according to the UN's climate agency. Only a handful of countries have wrapped up their plans in the last year, despite they promising to do so at the summit in Glasgow last November. Well, you know, what happens in Glasgow stays in Glasgow. The UN's meteorological agency reported that all the main heating gases hit record highs last year, with an alarming surge in emissions of methane. As you know, that's a potent greenhouse gas, several times more potent than carbon dioxide. It just doesn't hang around in the atmosphere as long as CO2. The International Energy Agency's World Energy Report offered a glimmer of progress that CO2 from fossil fuels could peak in a couple of years, 3 years, as high energy prices push nations towards clean energy. It did warn that would not be enough to avoid severe climate impacts. Rockström, who directs the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research in Germany, said it's a really bleak moment, not only because of the reports showing that emissions are still rising, so we're not delivering on either the Paris or Glasgow climate agreements, but we also have so much scientific evidence that we are very, very close to irreversible changes. We're coming closer to tipping points, unquote. Rockström and his colleagues published a report in September that found 5 dangerous climate tipping points may already have been passed due to humans and our heating, including the collapse of Greenland's ice cap. Quote, furthermore, the world is unfortunately in a geopolitically unstable state, says Rockstrom. So when we need collective action at the global level, probably more than ever since the Second World War, to keep the planet stable, we have an all-time low in terms of our ability to collectively act together. I must say, in my professional life as a climate scientist, he continues, this is a low point. He said his piece after the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, said that climate action was, quote, falling pitifully short. We are headed for a global catastrophe and for economy-destroying levels of global heating, he said. Droughts, floods, storms, and wildfire are devastating lives and livelihoods across the globe and getting worse by the day. We need climate action on all fronts, and we need it now. He added that the G20 nations responsible for 80% of emissions must lead the way. Further reports published in the last couple of days said the health of the world's population is at the mercy of a global addiction to fossil fuels, with increasing heat, deaths, hunger, and infectious disease as the climate crisis intensifies. Well, it seems kind of karmic. We're the ones who are causing it. Might as well suffer the consequences. Seems to me.
Oh, wait, that was close. Just in case, I'm gonna get me some backup. Yeah, I've been hearing about this 1.5 degrees Celsius. Oh my god. 1.5 degrees Celsius tipping point for a few years. At one point they had said that even if we were to cut carbon emissions entirely, we'd still be cutting it close. This is 4 or 5 years ago. How much progress have we made since then? Not to mention all of the developing countries moving towards industrialization. Of course, it's going to be an uphill battle. Come on now.
Throwing a grenade.
I don't know, some people act like since like we can't fix it, just do nothing, which is the definitely the wrong approach to be taken. Come on, where? Oh my god, these invisible motherfuckers be.
Get your ass to some cover. Bleeding out.
Yeah, I'm no psychic, even though I feel like I have ESP at times, but
Glad to help.
I can see some. Oh, I forgot I put the injury shit on.
Adrenaline surge incoming.
I can foresee some desperate measures being taken to bring this shit under control. This is...
Scan the perimeter. Umri.
Where the fuck is this motherfucker at? Yeah, they're gonna be taking some desperate measures to bring this climate change shit under control. I can assure you of that. So be on the lookout for that, folks. Damn.
The Wall Street Journal reports that dozens of France's nuclear reactors, which, given what's going on with natural gas in Russia and the
We got civilians on the target. Look sharp.
imminent onset of winter in Europe, are pretty important to the nation's energy security. France's nuclear reactors remain offline following a series of troubling outages believed to be caused by stress-induced pipe corrosion. Fixes are reportedly taking longer than anticipated, which is always good news. Quote, it's important that this work restarts as soon as possible, unquote, Emmanuel Auvargon, head of France's energy regulator. She adds, if not, the risk of not having electricity rises, unquote. The nuclear fleet in question, owned by the energy provider EDF, is comprised of 56 reactors, 26 currently down. The pipe problems, according to the journal, trace back to late last year. When a crack was
Oh my
discovered in a
God.
high-pressure pipe close to the reactor's core at the nation's youngest nuclear plant. Other plants then launched their own investigations and discovered their own stress corrosion issues right away. Quote, it's only possible to identify stress corrosion's presence
Fixed. Now
once
get at them.
cracking has begun.
Thanks.
That's according to France's Institute for Radio Protection and Nuclear Safety,
Got to help.
adding regular inspections of the pipes can only identify the phenomenon once a fault is present. That's reassuring, isn't it? These aren't simple fixes because the majority of the cracks are so close to the reactor core. Radioactivity is a kind of a big threat for technicians. If exposure has to be limited, so they zoom in, do some work, get the hell out of there again. Given how complicated the repairs are, French power experts are reportedly quite pessimistic about the company's ability to get their reactors back online for the winter. Especially since, according to the journal's sources, the timelines for several reactor fixes
Frag grenade.
have already been pushed back by at least 6 weeks. Quite, that'll bring us right smack into winter, won't it? Yes, Joey, it will. And Daylight Vienna, engineers in Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, you know it as the ZNPP, have been working to stabilize the facility's fragile external power supplies. This follows repeated outages earlier this month, forcing it to temporarily rely on its emergency diesel generators for electricity. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Mariano, said that's what's going on. The poor safety and security situation at the plant remains precarious. The plant, in the past 10 days, has received the power it needs for
Over there.
the
Sending
reactor
adrenal surge.
and other essential safety and security functions directly and without interruption from the national grid. That's from the IAEA experts at the site. And Europe's largest nuclear power plant, the Zaporizhia, currently also has backup power available if needed through the switch yard in the nearby thermal power station. It was damaged by shelling in mid-October.
Frag grenade.
Repaired in 90 days. In recent days, the backup arrangements have become more robust. A second
We got a rocket coming.
interconnection at a thermal power plant switch yard is put in operation. This establishes a more reliable
Backups are here.
connection to the outside power line to deliver electricity if the main external connection were to fail again. But even with those improvements, the Director General of the IAEA says the power station
Hostiles spotted.
situation remains vulnerable.
We're moving.
Only one external power line is operating compared with 4 before the current unpleasantness
Enemy position.
and could deteriorate at any moment. Earlier in October, the plant's connection to the 750 kilovolt line from external power was cut 3 times in 10 days. The last such occurring on October 17. During 2 of those months, the plant's emergency diesel generators provided the required electricity because the backup system was also too. There's no evidence there had been no shelling in the area of the plant last week. Still military activity in the site. From the vicinity of the site, there's absolutely no time for complacency. The situation could change dramatically.
Throwing a grenade!
Says the head of the IAEA. Therefore, the establishment of a nuclear safety and security protection zone around the facility would still be nice. As a matter of fact, he says it would be of paramount importance, and probably MGM importance as well. The Director General has in recent weeks engaged in high-level talks in Ukraine and Russia aimed at getting agreement on a protection zone as soon as possible. At the plant itself, the Ukrainian staff continue to operate the plant with their more Russian technical staff now working at the site. And Russia has announced it's taken control of the facility, taking significant operational decisions following the creation of the Russian State Operating Organization for the site, based all the way out in Moscow.
Get to my position
Director
now.
General Grossi of the IAEA made it clear he regards the plant as a Ukrainian facility,
Ready to get
so
done.
he expresses concern about possible confusion regarding the chain of command for operating the plant, which could negatively affect nuclear safety and security. But it looks better on the...
Both gunners, that's what it is.
Oh, thanks.
Give a grenade. Don't look good, man. Kill him.
Well, they going in on this one. They going all the way in. Yeah, I also foresee this nuclear energy shit coming back to bite future generations. And they burying this shit all over the place. Shit has a half-life of 100,000 years. Yeah. Those who chose to do or say nothing about all of this shit going on will be regarded with a little bit of contempt, I think.
Good one.
I'm trying to enlighten the people, folks. I'm talking to the kids in the future. I'm trying to enlighten the people, man. But you know, they ain't gonna listen to little old me, but at least I put my motherfucking effort into it.
What? I see.
Returning to normal. We're good.
Above Love ENT put forth the effort to educate. I did not think I was gonna make it. He just sitting there in the car.
One there.
Gonna snatch his ass about that bitch. Show bitch ass. She thought this was. I could just. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Hold on. Ha! That's funny as shit. He's knocked out? Huh. Not anymore. Oh shit, I almost forgot about this one.
Engineers at Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, you know it as the ZNPP, have been working to stabilize the facility's fragile external power supplies. This follows repeated outages earlier this month, forced it to temporarily rely on its emergency diesel generators for electricity. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Mariano Grossi, said
we might get some good action now.
that's what's going on. While the nuclear safety and security situation at the plant remains precarious, the plant over the past 10 days has received the power it needs for cooling of the reactor and other essential safety and security functions directly and without interruption from the national grid. That's from the IAEA experts at the site. And Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia currently also has backup power available through the switch yard of the nearby thermal power station. It was damaged by shelling in mid-October, repaired the following day. In recent days, the backup power arrangements have become more robust. A second interconnection at a thermal power plant switch yard is in operation. This establishes a more reliable connection to the outside power line to deliver electricity if the main external connection were to fail again. But even with those improvements, the Director General of the IAEA says the power station situation remains vulnerable. Only one external power line is operating compared with 4 before the current unpleasantness, and could deteriorate at any moment.
The camp is ready for the outcasts.
Earlier in October, the plant's connection to the 750 kilovolt line from external power was cut 3 times in 10 days.
Now the outcasts will have
The
much
last
better equipment against the Bodars
such
and
occurring
Sentinels.
on October
My men will be able
17th.
to drive them out of Aurora.
During 2 of those cuts, the plant's emergency diesel generators provided the required electricity because the backup system was also down. There's been no shelling in the area of the plant over the last week.
Whatever they're planning,
Still
I'll figure
military
it out.
activity in the site,
Put a priority on investigating the inventory
or in the vicinity of the site. There's absolutely no time for complacency. The situation could change dramatically at any
Copy.
point,
Nomad out.
says the head of the IAEA. Therefore, the establishment of a nuclear safety and security protection zone around the facility would still be nice. As a matter of fact, he says it would be of paramount importance, and probably MGM importance as well. The Director General has in recent weeks engaged in high-level talks in Ukraine and Russia aimed at getting agreement on a protection zone as soon as possible. At the plant itself, Ukrainian staff continue to operate the plant, but there are more Russian technical staff now working at the site, and Russia has announced it's taken control of the facility,
That's it.
taking significant operational decisions following the creation of a Russian state operating organization for the site, based all the way out in Moscow. Director General Grossi of the IAEA made it clear he regards the plant as a Ukrainian facility. So he expresses concern now about a possible confusion regarding the chain of command for operating the plant, which could negatively affect nuclear safety and security. But it looks better on the chart.
I'm tripping, I already played that shit. So that's what's going on in the world today, among a lot of other shit. I had a dream about a month ago that these motherfuckers had hit the button. And I literally had nowhere to go. Straight up. That was something. gotta get my bunker game together. Shit, shot.